everybody, I'm Nora Burrows. Today we are going to work on the friendship quilt that I've been doing with my friend Muna, my fellow guild member. As you may remember, we are each creating a quilt, but to create the quilt we're flipping back and forth using these bird panels. She bought a bird panel, I bought a bird panel. They're the same panel. I think there's like 6 or 8 birds per panel. So we're using the bird panel and she creates a part on hers and I create a part on mine, and then we switch. Same, switch, keep switching. So let me show you the border that she just added to the piece that I initially started. It's amazing. I love it so much. Let's take a look and then we'll come up with a plan to add the next piece of it. I don't really have any ideas, but they'll come to me. Let's take a look. Here's the status of this piece. I think it is looking awesome. So as you may remember, in a previous video, I created this centerpiece. So the bird with this blue, and then I appliqued these viney leaves along the border with this kind of pinky reddish background. So that's what I did. And then Muna added this kind of stone, river stone fabric with these awesome flying geese. As you can see, the flying geese are kind of this newsprint fabric. Muna used the same fabric here that I used in my vine. We had gone to the quilt shop together when we got these bird panels and had picked out fabric together where we each got the same cut of fabric, so that we're kind of using many of the same pieces, but we're also allowed to use our own fabric. So for example, I used this pinkish reddish fabric that Muna does not have any. This is my fabric, and she used this river stone fabric that I don't have any. So we can kind of do whatever we want on these pieces. I do love how this newsprint fabric goes with that bird so well, the wing of the bird. I need to think now about what to do next. Every other border here, as we expand out, is going to include a bird. This is what Muna and I have decided. So my first piece here included a bird, but then Muna added a piece that did not include a bird. So on this next border, I need to include a bird somehow. And when the quilt is done, the birds will kind of be splattered kind of all along the quilt, is how kind of the vision is supposed to go. So let me cut out a bird from the bird panel here. I'll probably just take the next one, probably just use like this one here, and then decide how I want to make that work into the border. I've been thinking a lot about this and playing around a little bit, and I really am hating everything that I'm doing. So I think I just need to take this one step at a time. What I like that Muna did is that she didn't make all of her borders the exact same width. I think that's really cool. And so now for my next border that I do, I think I do somehow maybe want to make them the same width to kind of draw your eye to the fact that Muna did something a little bit different. I think if everything becomes kind of asymmetrical, then you kind of lose the specialness of that. However, what I'm thinking is that this, this gray border, it comes on all 4 sides of the center, even though all 4 sides are not the same width. The green only goes on 2 sides. And I'm thinking about possibly adding a little strip of the green that she used up along the top, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna maybe cut that out and test it and see what I think. Now these flying geese units, I would like to do some theme and variation, and maybe I could use some flying geese units and make them bigger or smaller, or just do some triangles that are not flying geese. But that's what I'm thinking. Let me keep thinking, because in all honesty, I'm a little bit stuck. I've cut out some triangles from this fabric here. This is fabric that Muna and I did not pick out together, but that Muna bought for me after we had started this project, which I think would go really nicely here with this. So here are the triangles that I cut out. I kind of just placed them on this background fabric here. As you can see, I have kind of 2 options. This one is on this brown. Let's get a closer look at this. This brown has a nice contrast. It's different than this gray fabric here and really pops in my opinion. And then I would put this kind of just strip of this fuchsia pink. Now the fuchsia goes very nicely with the pinks in these triangles, but it does clash a tad with this pink in the middle. Another option would be this blue up here. Now the blue doesn't go quite as nicely with this. It kind of blends a little bit too much. What I like about the brown is it really makes this river rock fabric pop. And that blue kind of doesn't do that so much. I could do, I also don't love the blue right up against this bird piece here, but I could do a little strip of that striped fabric along the side as well. I'm gonna cut some pieces out of both of these backgrounds and experiment a little bit, but I think I'm on a good track here. I'm liking things so far. That pink stripe I think goes nicer with this middle pink here, and it still pulls out some of the colors here. Let's get a closer look. So it still pulls out the colors from the flowers, but I think it's a little bit nicer with this than this one over here is. I've sewn this unit together as well as this one over here, and I'm kind of experimenting with what to do next. I replaced the pink stripe with this orange stripe because I do think that this in the middle, even though it's a pinky red, it's a little bit more on the orange side, so I think that stripe brings it out nicely. But if you put this kind of right against the orange, it gets lost. So I thought I would do a very thin strip of blue. So I cut this piece to kind of experiment. The blue I cut at 1 1/4 inch, so it will finish at 3/4 inches. I'm gonna go ahead and cut a piece of this. I need to figure out what size for both the top and the bottom. I think I'm only going to do kind of this top and right side and then be finished with my portion to give to Muna. I don't feel that I need to go all the way around. Here's where we're at so far. I added a border of blue around this bird, the same blue as the stripe here. So I think this is a nice touch, and I think that the orange and blue are actually working really well. The only thing I'm kind of not feeling are these triangles, which is kind of the main part of what I've been doing here. But, you know, if I look at it kind of without these pieces, is this better if I put something else up there? I don't know, maybe not. I'm gonna think about it a little bit and then start sewing some of these units together. This here is some fabric that Muna and I picked out together, and I almost wish you can see some of the metallic there, which is kind of cool, but I almost wish that I had used this on the inside of those triangles, in which case I would have to use something different where the brown currently is because it blends a bit. But I think that might have been better. So I'm gonna cut out a couple triangles out of this and just experiment a little bit. But I do want to keep moving forward, and I am close to being finished with this. So I don't want to do this. But here's some of these triangles cut out, and I just experimented with some of these fabrics behind here. I'm not really sure. Now the nice thing about this purple is there is purple in the block right next to it, but having, you know, I'm not really one to use solids, and I have a bunch of solids going on. I'm gonna see what else I have. I cut out some of this fabric for the background triangles over there, and I like it, but I do think I'm gonna go with this. I think this is more interesting, but I'll sew those together and then I'll just have that strip for some other project. Here's the finished piece. I am extremely happy with it. I actually like it far more than I thought that I was going to. This is the third episode. You can see the first episode I created the center, the second episode I created a border on the piece that Muna currently has, and then this is the third. So now that this is finished, I'll exchange with Muna. Muna's been working on the other one, adding a border, and we'll just keep going back and forth and doing these episodes until we have 2 finished quilts. What I think is really cool is the blue, how it goes around that bird. Here, let's get a closer look. Here you can see a little bit better how the blue goes around that bird, but then it also comes kind of these strips along the top and bottom. Now this is kind of perfect in terms of how much of this light color is on this piece and this piece, and that was totally by accident. I just randomly cut these pieces, and the fact that that turned out so symmetrical is kind of a miracle, and I love it. I think my favorite part of this piece so far is Muna's River Rocks right up against this orange fabric here. I think the contrast between these two is really, really solid and great. Here's a closer look of this fabric here. And then you can see the newsprint, as I mentioned, in the flying geese and in the wing, not only in this bird here, but also in this bird as well. I'll take some pictures, add them to the end of this video so you can get kind of a closer look. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.